after the billionaire gave her credit card to the homeless single dad to test him, and what he bought broke her heart. She thought the story was over, but the real test had only just begun. Because the moment Eleanor Kensington placed the apartment keys into Jackson Hale's trembling hands, she unknowingly unlocked a secret from his past that money couldn't fix. But destiny refused to ignore. The credit card that revealed his character would now reveal something far more dangerous. Someone had been watching, someone who didn't want a billionaire helping a homeless father rise again. Why would a stranger threaten the man who passed the ultimate test of integrity? And what truth from Jackson's past is powerful enough to shatter everything Eleanor believed about the man she saved? The snow outside Jackson's new apartment window looked softer that morning, almost gentle, as if the world itself was taking a breath after years of holding too much weight. Eleanor stood in the doorway, watching father and son explore the empty living room, Noah spinning in little circles, Jackson touching the walls like someone afraid the room might vanish if he pressed too hard. The keys lay on the counter where she placed them last night, gleaming in the fragile sunlight, but beneath that fragile peace was something she couldn't name. An unease, a shift in the air like the moment before a storm tightens its grip. Jackson had barely slept. She could see it in his eyes. Not exhaustion, something else. Something that lived in the shadows behind gratitude. He'd smiled, laughed even, but the weight had returned to his posture, a heaviness he tried to hide. "Are you all right?" Eleanor asked softly, stepping closer. Jackson swallowed hard. "This place, it's more than I ever thought possible. I don't know how to accept something like this." "You earned it," she said firmly. "This wasn't a gift. This was recognition." He looked down at his hands once calloused from construction work, now trembling at the thought of stability. "Eleanor, kindness like yours. People like me usually don't see it without a catch." "There's no catch," she said. But even as she said it, the hallway outside creaked. A slow, deliberate wait. She turned her head sharply. The building was old, yes, but the sound didn't feel accidental. It felt aware. She brushed the thought aside. Noah tugged her coat. "Miss Eleanor, can I show you my room?" Her heart softened. "Of course." He guided her down the hall to a small bedroom with a single window. Sunlight painted golden squares across the floor. Noah placed the secret garden gently on the windowsill, like a sacred object. "This is where I'm gonna read," he said proudly. Eleanor knelt next to him. "It's perfect." Behind them, Jackson lingered at the doorway, his smile wavering around the edges. He looked like a man torn between relief and fear. Oh, man waiting for something to collapse. When Noah ran off to explore again, Eleanor stood and faced him. "Jackson, what's wrong?" He hesitated, rubbing the back of his neck. "It's nothing. I'm not used to good things staying. Life doesn't usually give without taking something first." His words chilled her. What could it take? He didn't answer. Not immediately. Instead, he walked to the window and looked down at the street, eyes narrowing slightly, jaw tightening as if searching for someone. Eleanor stepped closer, following his gaze, but saw only people walking, buses passing, normal life humming below. Then his voice cracked quietly. "Someone came looking for me last week." Her stomach dropped. "Who?" He didn't move, eyes still locked on the street. "A man. Said he knew me from before. Said he could help me get back on my feet." Asked too many questions about Noah, about where we sleep, about whether I had anyone protecting me. A cold blade of dread traced Eleanor's spine. "Did you know him?" she asked. Jackson finally turned toward her, eyes darkened, haunted. "I knew the voice, not the face. My wife owed someone money before she died. Medical debt, private lenders. We tried everything, but they don't forgive. not even when a person is dying. Eleanor felt her pulse race. "Jackson, are you in danger?" He shook his head slowly, almost too slowly. "I don't know, but I know the look of someone who thinks they own you." That's how he looked at me, like I belonged to a debt that never ends. Silence tightened between them. Eleanor exhaled, steady but shaken. "Why didn't you tell me yesterday?" "Because you'd already done too much. I didn't want to bring my problems into your world." "Jackson," she said firmly, "your problems came with you. They don't disappear because you stood in a nicer room. You should have told me." His eyes softened. "I didn't know how." Before she could respond, a sudden knock rattled the door. 3 sharp strikes that did not sound friendly. Eleanor stiffened instantly. Jackson's face drained of color. "Don't answer it," she warned in a whisper, but Noah, excited and unaware, ran toward the door. "Wait, Noah!" Jackson lunged, catching him just as Eleanor reached the hallway. Another knock, harder, impatient. Eleanor's heart thundered. "Who is it?" Jackson called, voice tight. A pause, then a voice, deep, smooth, strangely polite, slipped through the door like smoke. "Jackson Hale, I believe you have something that doesn't belong to you." Eleanor froze. Jackson's grip on Noah tightened. The man outside continued, voice steady, chillingly calm. "And you have no idea how much trouble you just invited into your new life." Eleanor stepped beside Jackson, placing a hand gently on his arm, her silent message deadly clear. "You're not alone anymore." But the voice on the other side of the door wasn't finished. "Open the door, Jackson. We need to talk about your wife." Eleanor and Jackson exchanged a stunned, horrified look. His wife. She'd been dead for years. So how did this stranger know her? And what did he mean by "have something that doesn't belong to you"? The knock returned, louder this time. Their new beginning was already cracking. And something else, something far darker, had just begun. The knocks stopped, suddenly, unnervingly, leaving a silence so sharp it felt like another voice in the room. Eleanor's pulse hammered in her ears as she pressed Noah gently behind her, instinct overriding logic. Jackson stood frozen, staring at the door as though his past had materialized on the other side, breathing through the cracks. His chest rose and fell too quickly, too unevenly. The voice came again, softer this time, coaxing. "Jackson, open the door. You and I have unfinished business." Jackson flinched as if struck. Eleanor stepped forward, her tone low and unyielding. "No one is opening anything." But the stranger chuckled, quiet, condescending. "You should let the grown-ups talk, Ms. Kensington." Eleanor's blood turned electric. He knew her name, her full name, which meant this wasn't random. This wasn't a street collector. This was intentional, targeted. "Jackson," the man continued, voice dripping with certainty, "you took something from a woman who owed us more than just money. You took something that belonged to us, and running away didn't erase the debt." Jackson squeezed his eyes shut, gripping the door frame until his knuckles whitened. "I didn't take anything," he whispered hoarsely. "All I did was try to save her." "You failed," the stranger said simply, "and now you're going to open this door." Eleanor's breath locked. The words were too calculated, too familiar, as if the stranger had rehearsed them for years. She reached for her phone. Jackson grabbed her wrist fast, shaking his head urgently. "Don't call anyone, not yet." "Jackson," she whispered fiercely, "a man who knows your past and my name is standing outside your door. What do you mean, not yet?" His jaw clenched. "If you call police, Noah becomes a target. These people, if they think you're involving authorities, they escalate, and they don't care who gets hurt." The apartment suddenly felt too small, too vulnerable, too exposed. The stranger rapped his knuckles again, almost playfully this time. "You have 60 seconds, Jackson Hale, then I stop being polite." Eleanor's heart hammered. Noah clung to Jackson's shirt, trembling, sensing danger even without understanding it. Jackson lifted him instinctively, holding him close, whispering, "It's okay, buddy. Daddy's here." But Eleanor could see the terror behind his eyes. She leaned close, voice barely a breath. "Jackson, what did your wife owe? Who is this man? What does he want?" His throat bobbed as he swallowed. "My wife borrowed money from a private lender, off the books." His voice shook. "To pay for treatments the insurance wouldn't cover. I begged her not to, but she wanted more time with Noah. They promised low interest. They lied." Eleanor felt her stomach twist. "When she died," Jackson continued, "they demanded repayment anyway, threatened us. Said her debt didn't die with her. They said it transferred to me, and if I couldn't pay—" He looked down at Noah, voice cracking. "They'd take something else." The apartment spun slightly in Eleanor's vision. "That's illegal," she snapped. Jackson laughed bitterly. "People like them don't care about legal." A sudden shadow appeared under the door, the unmistakable silhouette of boots shifting position. Eleanor grabbed Jackson's arm. "We need to move. Back room now." Jackson hesitated. "If we run, he'll follow." "Good," Eleanor whispered fiercely. "Let him follow into somewhere I choose." There was steel in her voice, the kind her father used when dealing with senators behind closed doors. A billion-dollar firmness, honed by boardrooms, not back alleys. She guided Jackson and Noah down the hall to the bedroom, closing the door softly. Her mind raced. She didn't know these men, but she knew power, threats, negotiation, psychological games. She'd survived the kind of corporate predators who smiled while they poisoned your future. But this was different. This had a heartbeat, a child, a father who had already lost too much. The stranger's footsteps moved slowly through the apartment now, as if he'd invited himself inside without waiting for permission. The floor creaked, one heavy step at a time. "He picked the lock," Jackson whispered. "Oh, God, he's inside." Eleanor pushed Noah gently under the bed. "Stay silent, sweetheart. Don't move." The boy nodded, tears glassing his eyes. The bedroom door handle turned. Jackson tensed, preparing to shield his son with his body if needed, but the door didn't open. Instead, the stranger's voice drifted through the wood. Calm, chilling, patient. "You can hide, Jackson, but you can't run forever." A soft laugh. "And you can't protect what you can't keep." Eleanor felt heat surge through her veins. Anger, protective fury, something primal. She stepped to the door, pressing her palms flat against it, and called out with cold precision, "If you don't leave this building in the next 10 seconds, you will regret stepping foot in here." A pause. Then, "Well," the stranger murmured, "the princess does have a spine." Her eyes narrowed. "Try me." He chuckled again, footsteps shifting toward the exit. "Enjoy your new apartment. It won't be yours much longer." Then, silence. A moment later, the front door clicked shut. Jackson slid to the floor, exhaling shakily. Noah crawled from beneath the bed and climbed into his father's lap. Eleanor stood still, pulse still thrumming. "He's not gone," she whispered. "Men like that walk away only to circle back." Jackson nodded miserably. "He'll ruin everything. He'll take everything." Eleanor stepped closer, voice low but burning with fire. "No, he won't." "How can you be sure?" She met his eyes. "Because he just made the worst mistake of his life," she said. "He threatened someone under my protection." Her voice dropped into steel. "And I don't lose to men like him." But deep inside her chest, another question pulsed like a second heartbeat. What exactly did Jackson's wife owe that was worth hunting a homeless father across years and cities? And why did the stranger mention something Jackson took before she died? The truth was darker than either of them knew, and it was coming for them fast. The apartment felt colder after the stranger left, as if the walls themselves now held their breath. Jackson sat on the edge of the bed, Noah clinging to his chest, small fingers gripping the fabric of his shirt like lifelines. Eleanor remained standing near the door, her mind blazing through possibilities, strategies, threats, and outcomes, the way a seasoned general studies a battlefield. But this wasn't business. This was life. "Jackson," she said softly, "I need you to tell me everything, every detail, every name, every threat. Nothing can be left out." Jackson exhaled shakily, rubbing Noah's back in slow circles. The boy's breathing steadied, but his fear lingered in the tremble of his little hands. "I told you. They came after she died," Jackson murmured. "But you don't understand the timing." "Then help me understand," she said, voice warm but firm. He swallowed hard. "Kimberly, my wife, borrowed from a man named Riker Sloan." The name didn't ring a bell in Eleanor's financial or political memory, and that alone made it more dangerous. Power in the shadows did not advertise itself. "He was supposed to be a medical lender," Jackson continued. "Short-term emergency loans. But he was something else entirely. Kimberly didn't know at first. By the time we realized, we were trapped." Eleanor moved closer. "Trapped how?" "He doubled the interest every month," Jackson whispered. "And when I couldn't pay, his men started showing up at the hospital. One time, one of them told me that debt collects itself one way or another." A chill sliced through Eleanor's body. "He threatened your wife while she was dying," she whispered. Jackson nodded, eyes shimmering. "She told them she had nothing left for them, and a week later, the hospital said she passed in her sleep." His voice broke. "But I always wondered if—" Eleanor placed a steadying hand on his shoulder. "Jackson, look at me. What happened to her was not your fault." He shook his head violently. "You don't understand. The last thing she said to me—" His throat tightened, voice cracking. "She said, 'Protect Noah, no matter what.' And now they found us. They found me. They found him." Eleanor felt something ignite in her, not wealth, not influence, but a deeper fire, a kind of protective fury she'd only read about, never lived. She crouched down so she was eye level with both father and son. "You are not alone anymore," she said. "And no one, not Riker Sloan, not his men, not anyone, will ever get near your child again." Jackson blinked at her, stunned by the certainty in her voice. "How can you promise that?" he whispered. "Because people like Sloan threaten the helpless," she replied, "but they don't know what to do when someone powerful stands in the way." He stared at her, bewildered. "Why would you do all this for us?" Eleanor hesitated, not because she didn't know the answer, but because the answer felt too raw to say aloud. "Because the day I handed you my card," she said gently, "I thought I was testing your integrity, but really, I think life was testing mine." Something shifted in the air, between them, within them, a kind of fragile understanding that came only from shared vulnerability, but the moment couldn't last. A vibration buzzed in Eleanor's coat pocket. She pulled out her phone, a text from an unknown number. Her blood ran cold as she read it. "Nice apartment. Shame it won't stay untouched for long. Tell Jackson we want what was stolen. He knows exactly what it is." Tick-tock. Eleanor's eyes snapped to Jackson. "Stolen," she repeated. "Jackson, what is he talking about?" Jackson's face drained of color. He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. I don't know," he whispered, but his voice trembled. A trembling Eleanor had learned to read too well by now. "You do know," she said softly, "and if I'm going to protect you, you can't protect me from the truth." Noah looked up at his father, small eyes filled with worry. "Daddy, what did they want? Did Mommy leave something?" Jackson squeezed Noah tight. Too tight. Eleanor inhaled slowly. "Jackson, what did your wife leave behind?" Silence. Then, finally, broken words. "She didn't just borrow money," he whispered. "She found something, before she died, something powerful, something dangerous, something Sloane thinks belongs to him." Eleanor's pulse spiked. "What did she find?" Jackson covered his face with one trembling hand. "A drive," he whispered. "A flash drive, with files from Sloane's company, proof he laundered money through medical charities, proof he used terminal patients to hide transactions." Eleanor's heart slammed against her ribs. "Where is it?" she breathed. Jackson slowly lowered his hand, and when he met her eyes, his answer hit the room like a detonated secret. "It's inside Noah's stuffed toy." Eleanor's breath stopped. "The one he sleeps with every night." Her gaze snapped to the hallway where Noah's little bag sat on the floor, the stuffed bear peeking from the top. A chill washed over her. Sloane didn't want money. He wanted a witness silenced, a secret reclaimed, a loose end tied, and Jackson had been unknowingly carrying evidence that could destroy a criminal empire in the arms of his sleeping child. Eleanor stood tall, eyes fiery, breath steady, spine iron. "Jackson," she whispered, "they're not coming for your debt." She stepped toward the door, voice cold with intent. "They're coming for your proof." And then, after a long, heavy silence, she said the words that changed everything. "From this moment on, we're not hiding." Eleanor moved toward the stuffed bear with slow, deliberate steps, as if approaching an explosive device. Jackson stood frozen, torn between fear and shame, watching the woman who had saved his son now prepare to protect him from something far darker than poverty. Noah clung to Jackson's shirt, wide-eyed, sensing that something massive was unfolding around him. Eleanor knelt beside the bear and gently unzipped the small cloth pocket on its back. Inside, tucked beneath soft stuffing, was a tiny silver flash drive, ordinary in appearance but heavy with consequence. She held it between her fingers, studying it as if it were a loaded weapon. Jackson's voice cracked behind her. "Kimberly hid it there the night before she died. She said if anything happened to her, I had to keep it safe. I didn't understand. I didn't want to understand." "And Sloane wants it back," Eleanor murmured. "Not because it's his, but because it can destroy him." Jackson sank onto the couch, face in his hands. "I couldn't protect her. Now I can't protect Noah. I don't know what to do anymore." Eleanor stood, her posture strong enough to hold both their fears. She looked at him with a kind of certainty he hadn't seen since before his life crumbled. "That's why I'm here," she said softly. "Protection is something I can offer. Power is something I can wield. And people like Sloane, they don't scare me." Jackson looked up at her, eyes filled with disbelief and something like hope. "Why are you doing this? Why risk everything?" "Because your wife trusted you with something that could save other families," she said. "And because you showed me that integrity still exists in this world. Now it's my turn to honor that." Before Jackson could respond, Eleanor's phone buzzed again. Another message. "Do you think we don't know where the boy goes to school? Last warning. Return what's ours." Jackson lunged forward. "Give it to them. Eleanor, please. I can't lose Noah. I can't." Eleanor grabbed his wrists, steady and unyielding. "Listen to me. If we give Sloane the drive, it won't save Noah. It won't save you. It won't save anyone. Men like him erase threats completely, whether they get what they want or not." Jackson froze, horror creeping into his expression. "He won't stop," Eleanor continued. "He'll chase you until he's sure you can never expose him." Jackson felt the truth of her words like a blade. He trembled. "So what do we do?" he whispered. Eleanor exhaled slowly, her mind already building a strategy, her body shifting into a mode she had inherited from her father. Cold, calculating, powerful. "We don't run," she said. "We go to someone Sloane can't touch." Jackson frowned. Who? But Eleanor didn't answer. Instead, she picked up her phone and dialed a number she hadn't touched in years, a number tied to a man who owed her father favors, measured not in money but in silence. The phone rang once, twice. Then a voice answered, low and gravelly. Kensington, didn't expect your family to call again. This isn't for my family, she said. It's for me. A pause. Must be serious. It is. She glanced at Jackson and Noah. I need protection, discreet, immediate, and I need a safe location where a child won't be found. Another pause. Send me your address. I'll be there in 10. She hung up. Jackson's eyes widened. Who was that? Police? No, she said. Better. Minutes stretched like hours as they waited. Noah eventually fell asleep on Jackson's lap, exhaustion pulling him under. Eleanor watched them quietly, feeling something in her chest tighten, a mixture of responsibility, fear, and something tender she wasn't ready to name. The knock finally came. 3 soft taps, not the threatening kind, the measured kind. Eleanor opened the door to reveal a tall man in a black coat, broad-shouldered, eyes sharp but calm. He stepped inside without a word, scanning the apartment with trained precision. Where's the item? He asked. Eleanor handed him the drive. He didn't even blink. And the child? He asked. Jackson tensed. Why is that important? The man crouched to Jackson's level, speaking with surprising gentleness. Because the moment Sloan realized you were alive, he also realized something else. Your wife didn't tell him everything. The drive is leverage, but the boy... He hesitated. The boy is proof. Jackson paled. Proof of what? The man looked at Eleanor, silently asking permission. She nodded. He turned back to Jackson. Sloan didn't just launder money. He tested unapproved treatments on dying patients. Your wife was one of them. Eleanor felt her chest hollow. Jackson grabbed the man's coat. What do you mean, tested? She died of cancer. The man held his gaze evenly. Maybe, but not the way you think. Eleanor stepped forward. What does Noah have to do with this? The man sighed. Your wife participated in a treatment Sloan didn't have clearance for. She was part of a trial that could change medical history, or destroy its creator if exposed. That drive contains the results. And Noah. Jackson's heart hammered. What about my son? He demanded. The man said it gently, but the words shattered the room. Noah was born during the trial window, he said. Sloan wants to know if he carries any genetic markers from the treatment. Jackson staggered backward, choking on air. Eleanor grabbed his arm to keep him from collapsing. He thinks Noah is proof, she whispered. That's exactly what he is, the man replied, and that's why we need to move. Now. Jackson held Noah tightly, tears streaming down his face. Where will we go? He whispered. The man straightened. Somewhere Sloan will never find you. Eleanor looked at Jackson, his trembling shoulders, his sleeping child, his world collapsing and rebuilding in the same breath. I'm going with you, she said firmly. Jackson looked up, broken, bewildered. Eleanor, you don't have to... I do, she said. Because this started with me testing you, and now life is testing us both. The man opened the door, signaling time was up. Eleanor took Jackson's free hand. From this moment on, she whispered, we stay together. And as the door closed behind them, the world they knew vanished, and a far more dangerous one awaited.